Welcome to ACC Nation. That's Will Ojanen. I'm Jim Quist. And if the folks that type the subtitles for our YouTube portion are listening, I want you to make sure that you spell Will's name correctly. It's W-I-L-L. No, I'm just kidding. It's it's O-J-A-N-E-N. Okay.
No apostrophe. It's not Irish. It's Finnish.
That's right. Okay. I see that it's something different each week. And I know that it rotates the people that do that. But I just wanted to throw that in there because every time I see it, it's like, boy, that's a strange way to spell his last name. And it's not right. And it's bothering me.
I watch back our videos, but I never even noticed that.
Yeah, see, that's my background. I notice stuff. I have detail, picky,
Yeah.
Fortunately, I don't drive people crazy with that. I don't think, just myself. Let's talk some sports, man.
Yeah.
We came out of a weekend where we had the ACC Football Championship down in Charlotte between Wake Forest and Pitt. Good crowd for both. I will just say that what a game. It started out interesting. Everybody thought, okay, we're going to have an offensive shootout. Started that way. I mean, it was on a roll. People were expanding what the line was going to be. It went up to like 90 some points at one point. It was like, oh my God, you people are out of your minds. It's not going to be like that. And the next thing we know, after about a quarter and a half of play, the Pitt defensive coordinator figured out some aspect of Wake Forest's offense. And essentially, from there on out, they shut down Wake's offense, which is not an easy thing to do. It certainly frustrated the dickens out of Sam. I mean, I feel for the guy. He was at the end. He was just, he looked
Flustered.
like, yeah. He just looked like I have no answer for this, and it's driving me absolutely bonkers. I'll tell you what, dude, you played a heck of a game all year, and even during this game, and it's been fun watching you. And certainly look forward to having you back. Kenny Pickett coming back, from what I understand.
Finalist for the Heisman. I mean,
just kidding. I just wanted to see the look on your face. It was like, what?
Yeah, a lot of people go to college for 7 years. I know. They're called doctors. Good old Tommy. Got to get a Tommy Boy quote in there.
We got a couple of athletes that do that too, How
many years was Perry Ellis at Kansas? Like 20?
8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
What can I say? Final score 45-21. Pitt with a big win there. The D came through. There is a D in Pittsburgh. And to some degree, there was a D in Wake Forest as well, because Wake Forest defense was doing pretty well at putting the old stymie on Kenny Pickett there for a while. And defense became the key factor in, I think, the win in this game for Pitt. Again, fun game to watch. I loved everything about this game. It turned out kind of the way I thought it was going to. Just the frustration part of the interceptions and stuff was not. But
well, yeah, you mentioned it earlier when we started talking about it. Yeah, this is a nice attendance for this. Two non-traditional teams in the ACC championship. I think the attendance was something like 56,000. That's really good, all things considered. When you factor in Wake is one of the smallest alumni bases and out there, at least in the ACC. I don't know if it's all of college football, but Pitt, that's still, it's a bit of a haul from Pitt to Charlotte. But still, both teams put a lot of fans in the seats, and props to them for that. And during this game, I think might have been in the first quarter, second quarter, there was a point where you could have live betted the over under in this game is something like 95.5. It was ridiculous. Somebody on Twitter brought it to my attention, and I'm like, wow, that's insane. I'm like, it's not going to keep that pace. You might as well go ahead and throw some money on the under. Ended up asking the guy later. It's like, hey, did you put money on live bet the under? He's like, no, and I immediately regretted it. It's like, well, it turns out that putting money on the under to begin with was a win by 6 points, but first half or so, first quarter, first half, it was looking like you were going to take a big L if you bet the under. But yeah, what really stood out, and you mentioned it, is just the kind of the change in the way Pitt's defense attacked the Wake Forest offense. I mean, eventually they just, after the first couple of drives, they just really clamped down and Wake couldn't get anything going on the ground. I mean, Hartman just struggled to, through the throw. You mentioned it, 4 interceptions in this game. He just looked, like I said, flustered. He looked like he just lost all of his confidence of it, towards by the end of the game. And obviously they Pitt turned those 4 turnovers into 21 points, and that really right there was the difference in the game. When you look at that's 21 points, and they scored 24 offensive. So that's really the big difference in the game. And it's not like either one of these offenses went crazy in this game. I mean, Pitt had 385 yards of offense, Wake had 295. Both pretty, by their standards, pretty substandard efforts. But Kenny Pickett threw a couple touchdown passes, threw for 253 yards. Nice effort there. Jordan Addison, 8 catches, 126 yards. He was the kind of the star of the offense for Pitt. He is, like I said, an absolute stud, and someone who will, I believe, he's just a sophomore, I want to say. He definitely has some more time ahead of him at Pittsburgh if he wants, and I think he will probably go into next season as all ACC candidate at wide receiver. I say Wake, they, like you said, they only had 295 yards offense, only ran for 82 yards, averaged 2 yards per carry. Just like you said, they're just eventually Pitt's defense just put the clamps on, and Pitt just blew away. But you cannot take anything away from the season Wake Forest had, getting to 10 wins, being ranked, I think, as high as something like 12th, I think, in the college football playoff rankings, something that's not been done in the history of this program. And Dave Clawson was handsomely rewarded with a contract extension, for his efforts. So big great season for them, and now we get one more game of Kenny Pickett at Pitt, in a game that he probably will throw for tons of yards in, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
One thing I want to point out here, Will, you brought up the ranking there just a second ago. We always talk about the fact that people underrate the ACC. They diminish the ACC from the standpoint of football. Now, I can certainly agree to a little bit of that, especially over the past few years. It hasn't been the best, but I think the progress has certainly been palpable among more than one team here. And the fact that there were several teams, 4, if I'm not mistaken, that ended up in the CFP rankings at the end of the year speak volumes to me about how far the ACC has come with their investments in football. And something that we're waiting on right now.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of swirl around UVA about investing in football, and that conversation has just gone hog wild on social media. It's fun to read it. Our Mike Lewis has been in the depths of that. Hootie, Jerry Radcliffe, has been in the depths of that.
Yep.
Been seeing a lot of David Teal, Mike Barber, other folks throwing their 2 cents around, and a ton of other folks too. Some interesting perspectives, and we're kind of banking, which maybe we shouldn't, that Carlo Williams, the AD at UVA, is going to make some kind of an announcement this evening, and ideally right in the middle of our show so that we can share that information and get it out as quickly as possible. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, I've got, as while we're recording, I have TweetDeck up, and recent guest of the show, Jackie Franchuli, posted something on the Wahoo's 24/7 site that likely the announcement will come tomorrow or Wednesday, but it's definitely heading in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Something I think you had mentioned, like Wednesday morning would be all likelihood. And I can see that.
But he's obviously being, inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame or whatever, his class of 2020. He's in Vegas for that. So, he might be a little bit preoccupied tomorrow, but I mean, it still could come out.
Indeed. Let's talk about some other things that are going on before we get into the bowl assignments. Let's talk a little bit about something that's going on right now as we speak. It's the NCAA Women's Soccer College Cup. It is number 1 seed FSU taking on number 4 seed BYU. And we're crossing our fingers. Florida State looks very good. And let's hope that they can clinch that College Cup title tonight. And we'll have something about that tomorrow on the website. So also, and then while we're talking about that, on the men's side, the College Cup, they're in the semis right now. And number 4, Notre Dame, is going up against number 8, Clemson. And that'll be on the 10th at 6 p.m. So that's Eastern time, by the way, just to let you know wherever you are. So add or subtract as is appropriate. So that's a look at that. Let's look at something else going on. NCAA Championship Volleyball. Number 1, Louisville, is going to be taking on, number 16, Florida, and number 3, Pitt takes on Kansas. And then number 8, Georgia Tech, will be taking on number 9, Ohio State. Those are the games that will be coming up in that quest for a championship. And I'll tell you what, I think, and I just skimmed over this very quickly before we got on, and my memory is gone especially after a long day. But it looks to me like Louisville and Pitt are sort of jammed up in the same category. So one of those two teams is probably going to eliminate the other. So it could be a Louisville versus Pitt, and whoever comes out of that. And Georgia Tech is in the other part of the bracket. So there's a potential for them to move on and maybe meet another ACC team, which again would be cool. So some good sports. Fall sports has been phenomenal this year. Let's take a look at all of these bowls, Will, and we'll just get a couple of brief thoughts on this because we can go forever on some of these games. And talk about how everything is, how it looks. First stuff up is Monday, December 27th. And by the way, we do have the schedule up on accnation.net, so you can take a look and see when all these bowl games, who's matched up with who and what bowl and what time it's going to be played and what cable channel or whatever you're going to be watching it on. So Monday, December 27th, it's Military Bowl. ECU takes on BC. That I think it's a decent matchup.
Yeah, I agree. Boston College, Phil Jakovic will be a lot healthier by then. And if you missed it, he announced recently that he is going to come back for another year for Boston College, which is huge for them because that quarterback situation was kind of dire without him, as we saw this season. But him coming back for another year is going to be huge. ECU, their coach Mike Houston was somebody that was whose name was bandied about with both the Virginia job and maybe the Duke job. He looks like he is not going to be yet a candidate for either job. He'll be staying at ECU. He's done a real nice job of turning around that program to a bowl. But I do like BC in this game. I just think that their offense will be the kind of the difference here. Was obviously I think Dracovic will be a little more healthier, getting that time to recuperate. I still don't think he was quite 100% at the end of the year, but that opportunity to recover from the injury, I think will help, and I think they'll win as a result.
Before we go any further, because it's the holiday season, I really like the red on you. It looks good.
Thank you. It's actually one of my heavier hoodies that I am currently wearing, because as we are recording this, which is Monday at 7:16 Central Time, the current temperature here is 4 degrees with a wind chill of 5 below.
Hoo-wah! Man, you're going to need more than that if you go outside. Up next on Tuesday, December 28th, is the First Responder Bowl, and that's Air Force versus Louisville. I'd say Louisville has that game.
Yeah, this is going to be a very intriguing game. Air Force, they run the triple option, very nice season, won 9 games. Louisville, obviously 6-6, made a bowl after kind of a disappointing 2020. They also got a big boost with the news that Malik Cunningham is coming back for another year. Another good quarterback is back for the ACC. I think it really comes down to defense in this game. Can Louisville stop the triple option, and conversely, can Air Force stop Malik Cunningham? That's really, whoever stops the other more, I think, is going to be your winner.
Also on the 28th, it's the Holiday Bowl, and we missed this one because of COVID, but this is a new bowl. It's out in San Diego, and this will feature NC State versus UCLA. It's an ACC versus Pac-12 setup for this bowl. This looks like it's going to be fun. NC State, I think, should have this game, but UCLA is nobody to sleep on.
Yeah, you're right. This game's being played at Petco Park, and for once, there's actually a postseason game being played in that stadium. Ooh, I just go there. Yeah, this is another intriguing matchup. I mean, we've gone through all these, and all these point spreads are like a point and a half, couple of points here and there. The line on this one's NC State -1. Big. Their offense, has done a really good job this year. So the same with the defense, despite all the injuries they've had. A real good job of fixing up that defense and recovering. Nearly they had a shot to win the Atlantic, didn't work out for them. So UCLA 8-4 on the season, had a pretty solid season. Chip Kelly, their coach, we remember him from his Oregon days. They have a good quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's kind of a dual threat guy. Very, very interesting game. I'm not sure which way I lean yet. I mean, we still got a long ways to go, but say this one looks pretty even to me.
Who's healthy is, I think, going to be a real key thing here, and who is going to be playing as opposed to sitting out or whatever. Wednesday, the 29th, there are 2 games, and of course, this only makes sense. Both of these games are going to be on the same day. Yankees versus Red Sox. So the first one is the Fenway Bowl, obviously in Boston, and that's Virginia versus SMU. That starts at 11 o'clock in the morning, folks. So don't be out late doing all kinds of nasty things. Well,
what is there to do on a Tuesday night? Anyway, well, it is holiday season, so you never know. But
that's right.
What you need to know about this game is that 2 of the 10 highest ranked quarterbacks in terms of passing yards per game are being played in this game. Obviously, Brennan Armstrong at Virginia and Tanner Mordecai at SMU. He's ranked 9th in yards per game. Obviously, Brennan Armstrong number 2. This is obviously the last game for Bronco Mendenhall, as he is resigning and leaving the team after this game. As we mentioned, as of yet, it has not been made official, but we are expecting Anthony Poindexter to be named head coach at some point here within the next probably 48 hours of this recording. So I think Virginia is going to do everything they can to get Coach Mendenhall one more victory to go out on. So I'm going to lean with them on this one.
Next up on the same day, as I mentioned, it's the Pinstripe Bowl down there in New York. And this is at 2:15 in the afternoon, Eastern time again. Virginia Tech takes on their old nemesis from the ACC, Maryland.
This game was played in basketball a week ago. Virginia Tech won. How about that?
And we know who's going to win on the football field too.
Yeah. Yeah, so if anything's indication, Mike Locksley will probably be fired after the game because that's what Virginia Tech suddenly does. But yeah, this is an interesting matchup. I'm curious to see how this all plays out. Both teams 6-6, go in the season. They have Maryland's quarterback is the brother of Tua Tagovailoa. Remember him from Alabama. His name is Talia Tagovailoa, and had a pretty strong season, almost 3,600 yards passing for Maryland. But he's about all they had. They don't have a whole lot else. The Hokies are playing really well for J.C. Price. I believe he'll be the coach for this bowl game before Brent Pry takes over. I definitely lean the Hokies in this one.
We'll throw this in because you're talking about the Hokies, the booziest NCAA football fans. Virginia Tech is tied for 5th. NC State is at 8th and Duke 11th. Congratulations, Hokies.
I saw that one too, and I took question over it because the wrong team is number 1.
You think?
It's I think the team that's number 3 should be number 1 if I remember correctly. I don't have it in front of me, but I did see that. It's definitely Wisconsin.
Yeah, yeah, okay, definitely, no doubt about it. That's in everyday life. It doesn't have to be just football. So, all right. Next up is on Wednesday, the 29th. It's Clemson versus Iowa State. That's a Cheez-It Bowl in Orlando. That's at 5:45. Weird, right before you're going to have dinner type of start to a game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is another interesting matchup. I mean, Clemson will lost their defensive coordinator Brent Venables. He is now the head coach at Oklahoma. Looking like Tony Elliott is the front runner for the Duke job now. So both coordinators could very well be gone. They say this was the worst Clemson team in quite a few years, but they still won 9 games. They're going up against an Iowa State team who was very disappointing this season. A lot of people thought of them as a dark horse playoff team in the beginning of the season, but they just finished 7-5. And a lot of their seniors are going out, like a lot of the players that made Iowa State so successful in these last few years. This could be a one last hurrah for them. I really don't know where to lean on that one. I guess it all depends on what the plan is for coordinators during the game. But this one, I'm really not really sure. I want to commit to a winner on that one just yet.
That's a tough choice.
Frankly. It is. A lot of variables to that.
Yes. Too many right at this point, obviously. Mm-hmm. Thursday, December 30th, it's Duke's Mayo Bowl. The two Carolinas get together, North and South. That's an interesting matchup. That's at 4:30, or I'm sorry, 11:30. Can't even read my own writing. 11:30 in Charlotte. So there's got to be a big crowd for this. If there is not a big crowd for this game, I don't even know what to say. Seriously.
Unless they're disgusted by the condiment that sponsors this bowl, like I am.
Well, now why would you be disgusted with Duke's Mayo?
Why would I be it's not Duke's Mayo, it's just Mayo in general.
Mayo in general. Oh, okay. All right.
But anyways, as far as the game goes, it's like you said, battle of North versus South in Carolina. I guess by default, since I'm a Northerner, I should take the North, right?
That's right.
But no, I think the curiosity here is whether or not Sam Howell plays in this game. Nothing's come out saying he's will or will not play in the game, but he might be looking at his draft stock here and thinking, maybe it's not worth it. But whoever it is, that quarterbacks from North Carolina obviously going to have a ton of options. Obviously, we've seen Josh Downs have a big season with them tonight or this season. Almost 100 catches for over 1,200 yards. He's been a big force for the Tar Heels this season. Obviously, South Carolina's head coach Shane Beamer got him into a bowl in year 1, but I'm just going to assume if Howell plays, I'm definitely taking the Tar Heels in this one.
I'd be right there with you on that selection. On also on Thursday, December 30th, it is the Peach Bowl with number 10 Michigan State versus number 12 Pittsburgh. That's a 7:00 game in Atlanta. That should be a fun ride. Now you talk about being confused about which way to go. I have no idea here.
The thing you need to know is that Michigan State's one of the worst pass defenses in the entire country, and you're going up against a quarterback who's thrown for over 4,300 yards this season. So, yeah, but like you say, on the other side, we know Kenneth Walker, former Wake Forest, player, one of the top rushers in the country, over 1,600 yards rushing and 18 touchdowns. So he could have a big game as well. The line currently sits at Pitt -3.5. So I think I might take Pitt in this one just because I don't see Michigan State stopping this Pitt pass offense.
Kenny Pickett has a good game. I'm right there with you, but I think this might be a little more evenly matched than is apparent.
Yeah. So just for context, Michigan State is dead last in the country. They give up an average of 337 yards per game on the ground. Ouch. Or in the air, excuse me.
In the air, yeah. Friday, December 31st, it's Wake Forest and Texas A&M. Wake Forest and Texas A&M. I'm going to say that one more time. Wake Forest and Texas A&M. It's a Gator Bowl. It starts at 11:00 in the morning because ESPN says so. Mm-hmm. It's in Jacksonville, and this should be an interesting game. Wake Forest is actually favored to win in this matchup.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup. Obviously we see Wake have 10 wins this season. Texas A&M 8-4, a little bit disappointing the way they closed. They obviously had the big win over Alabama this year. It's a tough one to figure out right now. Obviously Sam Hartman, big year there. Texas A&M doesn't really have a good quarterback. They just relying on the run game and defense. So I guess I might lean towards A&M in this one. I just feel like they might be a more physical team and a better defense, and it just feels like we've seen Hartman struggle against better defenses this year.
One thing I will say about Jimbo Fisher, he has an uncanny knack of, and this is because he's a professional coach, of figuring out weaknesses of teams and exploiting that weakness and coming up with wins. Mm-hmm. He's proven that numerous times, whether it be at Texas A&M or Florida State. So this is a challenge game. He is going to go after Wake Forest because he doesn't want to lose to an ACC team. It's that simple. And he'll pull out anything and everything he can, kitchen sink, and throw at Wake Forest. So Dave Clawson and company better be ready for that. Next up on the same day, it's the Sun Bowl in El Paso. It starts at noon. It's on CBS. Washington State versus Miami.
So, yeah, this is a interesting bowl. Obviously, we know the big news of the day out of Miami. Mario Cristobal is leaving Oregon to come to Miami. Huge news there. But it really doesn't make an effect on this game. But I think what really stands out here, Washington State, they really rebounded after their coach Nick Rolovich was fired due to COVID-19 vaccination mandates. They really rebounded and had a shot to win their division, the Pac-12. Didn't end up doing it, but had a nice season. But I think Miami wins here. I just think they just have more firepower, and I just don't see Wazoo stopping them.
Then on Saturday, January 1st, that's our final game, at least from the standpoint of the ACC +1 that we look at. It's number 5, Notre Dame, taking on number 9, Oklahoma State in the Fiesta Bowl. That's at 1:00 on ESPN. They're out of Glendale, Arizona. I cannot see Oklahoma State beating Notre Dame.
Yeah, they have a good defense. Oklahoma State does, but their quarterback situation is not the best. I mean, Spencer Sanders looked pretty rough in that Big 12 championship game against Baylor. Somehow still pulled it out, but this is this is a good Notre Dame defense led by Marcus Freeman. Obviously, he's getting his first opportunity to coach the Irish now that he is the coach full time. Um, yeah, I think I agree with you. I just don't think I just think Notre Dame's defense is going to be too much for Oklahoma State.
All right, let's take a look at really quickly here ACC men's basketball, because there's not much to talk about. Former number 1 Duke has fallen to number 3. We finished talking.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one team in the top 25 from the ACC in men's basketball. North Carolina received some votes. They're at 29. Then we have to go over to the USA Today coaches poll in order to find anybody else. Wake Forest got some votes there too. So 3 teams, only one in the top 25. What's going on? What's going on?
Well, we were talking about something like this the other day in our thread night, and yeah, I don't think the ceiling is as high this year for the ACC. I think there's just a lot of flawed teams, but I also think at the same time the floor is higher than originally expected. I mean, we thought Boston College and Wake would just be struggling to win, more than a few games during conference play this year, along with Pitt, obviously, but we had Boston College handled Notre Dame by 16 on Friday night in a game that wasn't really all that close. And we saw Wake with a really impressive win Saturday going into Blacksburg and beating the Hokies by 19. Those are, say the 2 of the bottom feeders of the league and projected in the preseason, who went out and got big wins against teams that were probably, Notre Dame might have been on the bubble. I think a lot of people thought Virginia Tech would be in, definitely. Pitt obviously still, at the bottom of the league. They're 2-6 on the year, but nearly beat Virginia without Femi Odekale on Friday night. Virginia needed a put back with less than a second left to beat Pitt. I mean, Virginia is just going to be up and down on offense right now. They just don't have everything clicking. It's, and even we saw this over the weekend. I mean, Louisville struggled with NC State, who is down this year. Syracuse upset Florida State. That was a big one. Florida State was my pick to win the league this year, but they've taken some questionable L's lately. Obviously, this one at home to Syracuse is a big surprise. Syracuse I don't think is that great of a team, but they just went and took care of business on the road, which is impressive for them. So yeah, it's outcomes like this, like we saw in this first weekend of a conference play, that just makes you think that it's going to be a little bit of a rough year for the ACC. I don't think we're going to get a ton of teams into the NCAA tournament, but it's still going to be fun because every team is in a game. I don't expect to be a ton of blowouts this season.
Yeah, a lot more parity in men's basketball this season. We'll know more about how the women are doing on Tuesday. Tuesday every week is when the AP Top 25 comes out for women. So we'll take a look at what's going on there and share that information with you at accnation.net. Going back to the bougiest NCAA football fans, here's what we got. Nebraska, number 1, Minnesota, 2nd. You can vouch for that.
Yeah.
Number 3, Wisconsin. Number 4, LSU. I can vouch for that. Number 5, Virginia Tech. Number 6, USC. Number 7, Kansas. 8, North Carolina State. 9, Alabama. 10th, Illinois. And of course, 11th, as we mentioned, is Duke. So you were saying that number 3 ought to be number 1. I agree. Nebraska, it does not count when you're drinking radiator coolant, antifreeze or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So sorry. You need to switch up your drink of choice there. All right. I think from the standpoint of football, we're getting close to being wrapped up for the season. So we're going to swing into to more basketball, and we're also going to swing into a lot more of other sports as they start up. We've got all kinds of stuff coming up here in the next couple of weeks. There's a little bit of a break holiday wise before things get too far out of hand. One of the things that we typically do will, and I've been thinking about this, and I haven't talked to him yet. I'm going to see if I can get Aaron Fitt from D1 Baseball back. They're doing their previews of baseball, college baseball, looking at fall ball. And right now they're going to the ACC. So if you want to really keep up with baseball, college baseball in particular, D1baseball.com is a place you want to check out. Make sure you subscribe to those folks. And we'll see if we can get Aaron Fitt back to talk about how the ACC looks for the coming year, because there's some very promising teams and rosters that are sitting there. And it looks like another run to Omaha for the conference if things go as it appears they will. So are you ready for the holidays?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't finished all my shopping yet, obviously, but we still have 19 days from the moment of recording, and I know what I'm going to get most people. I just haven't done it yet. That's where I'm at.